Hi everyone, I'm Hansi and today we're turning some basic IKEA products into this practical workbench that has a lot of storage space.
The workbench is mostly going to be made out of IKEA products. Not because they are superior or especially cheap, but because I wanted to prioritize time and convenience. This is the Trofast storage system. Originally designed for children rooms, but 6 of them will make a good base for the workbench and allow for a lot of storage space. A good thing about using IKEA items is that it's commonly available for everyone who wants to replicate it, and it's easy for me to put all the product links in the description. Now we have to build all 6 of the storage units. After one is complete, the next 5 are extremely quick to finish. I put 3 and 3 in 2 rows and placed them back to back to create a large enough surface for the bench top. I will use screws to lock them in place, but the walls are a little bit too thin to provide enough strength and support. Using the miter saw, I cut some 2x2s to the same length as the depth of the workbench. To make sure everything would line up straight in the end, I used all the clamps I have to hold the units in line while working. On the first screw I didn't pre-drill any hole, so it was hard to get it straight through the wood. Hence I recommend pre-drilling all holes to prevent any misalignment and cracking of the internal chipboard. After the first screw is in, everything gets a lot simpler. Now it's all about making it stiff and sturdy and prepare it for a long time of use. I always think it's better with 1 screw too many than 1 screw too few. Just be cautious not to split any of the wood. I also think it's a good idea to reinforce it both at the bottom and at the top, so I cut some smaller pieces to fit in the top. Now that they are stuck together, it's time to insert the guides for the drawers. These are easily pushed into the holes that are pre-drilled from IKEA, and with a single screw they stick really well in place. I think they can hold quite some weight, but I have not tested anything heavier than 15 kilograms. So for convenience and for the ease of use, I will be adding in some power outlets right on the side of the workbench. Here you can see me marking in the position of the outlets, making sure they are correctly aligned and have a nice clearance from the top. These are going to be extremely handy when working with power tools and other appliances that require electricity, because sometimes stretching an extension cord all the way through the room simply isn't convenient. And in my case there's usually already all sorts of cables on the floor because of the video lighting setup, and my hope is that this can clean things up a little bit. To keep the look of the workbench clean, I'm using some simple cable clips to hold the power cord in place, and I coincidentally also got these on IKEA. I have talked a lot about IKEA products, and just for the record, this video is not sponsored. This is just a convenience project that I really had to make to keep the channel projects easier to record, and I wanted to share that process with you. The second power outlet also has to be connected to a power plug that I can connect to any power outlet nearby. This is to give electricity to the workbench when I need it, but so that it can be plugged out when it's not in use. Wiring these power outlets is very simple, but I advise you to consider local regulations when dealing with mains power. For me, a good rule of thumb is to contact a professional when dealing with a permanent installation in the house, but as this is something I will leave unplugged, I am not too concerned. Be mindful of your cable stripping and try not to leave any copper exposed. To be able to tuck the cable away in an organized fashion, I bought a large metal coat hanger and fastened it at the middle of the workbench. Then it is time to bring in the final big piece of this workbench hacked together from IKEA items. This is the Ekbakken countertop in a dark oak laminate and will serve as the top of our workbench. We'll begin by flipping it on its back and measure where it would lie on the workbench, tracing the lines of the workbench edges and making sure it's an even spacing on all sides. Using the lines we just created as guides, we can now take some RGB LED strip and some LED corner joints and put it down on the countertop. If you by any chance are going to need LED lights in the near future, I would be very thankful if you use the links to Banggood.com in the description. That way you get a good product for a reasonable price, and I get a small percentage of the sale through affiliation that I can use to reinvest into the channel. After making sure the LED lights are working properly, we can now drill several holes through the top of the storage unit. These holes will be used to fasten the countertop. Now the crucial part is to get everything aligned properly. Luckily the LED strips help out with that, because as long as they are in the clear, it should be straight. I used some extra weight on top to hold everything steady while approaching the countertop with short screws from the underneath. I suggest using quite many screws here to divide the stress between all the different storage units. Also making sure the screws are short enough to not penetrate all the way through the top is a good idea. Now the simple and rather enjoyable task of organizing the drawers is all that remains. If you want to see some longer shots of the finished product, please stay with me until the end.
I think this came out pretty good. The light makes it look really cool and it helps illuminating the stuff that's inside the drawers, which is a big help. The crazy amount of storage in this workbench has really helped cleaning up the workspace, and yeah, it has just made everything so much better in here. Check us out on social media, don't forget to like the video if you liked it, and if you want to support us, check us out on Patreon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.